we're talking about, because I think this is a big cultural moment here, Disney and many of its top employees losing their minds and making all sorts of outlandish decisions to try to bow down to the woke universe. And by the way, they're doing this while not holding any of the rest of the world to the standards of basic human rights. Because remember, they filmed the Mulan movie and thanked the Xinjiang province people who were actually committing genocide against the Uyghur population. So you bow down to China in China and don't have anything at all to say for their direct human rights violations, but you then go crazy woke here in this country. Now, Carrie Burke is a Disney president, said she has a transgender and a pansexual child. She graduated, by the way, from UCLA in 1988. So her kids, at the utmost, are probably in their 20s, but she has 5 of them, so who knows how old her kids are. She also is now making aggressive, ridiculous, wild comments. This is from a company Zoom. Here is a second cut where she says that effective basically immediately, all of Disney's characters are going to be LGBT. I can't even keep up with all the different letters, but LGBTQIA plus. Is that right? Did I get it right?
Pretty good there, Mr. Travis.
Not too bad. Listen to this. Listen to this comment that she made also in the same clip that has gone viral.
We have many, many, many LGBTQIA characters in our stories, and yet we don't have enough leads and narratives in which gay characters just get to be characters and not have to be about gay stories. And so that's been very eye-opening for me. And I can tell you it's something that I feel perhaps had this moment not happened, I as a leader and me as my colleagues would not have focused on. And going forward, I certainly will be more so. I know that we will be. And I hope this is a moment where, the 50% of the tears, sorry, are coming. We just don't allow each other to go backwards.
She's crying. The president of content at the Walt Disney Company, Content Entertainment, is crying because of the insufficient number of Disney stories that are focusing on, as the primary story and the primary character, members of the LGBTQIA plus community. I would also like to put out an official protest. I've just learned about pansexuality today after she said it. I don't see a P in the LGBTQIA plus acronym. So I think there's a little bit of anti-pansexual
I'm feeling that
bigotry
vibe. I'm feeling that
right
vibe. It's not inclusive. That phrase is not inclusive enough.
It's not in there. And I think we have to ask why, Clay. Oh, there's a plus. The pansexual folks only get a plus.
That's a good point.
That's not
feels
right.
Feels a little discriminatory.
It does. But let's look at what's really going on here. What started all of this? I mean, you and I, we had dinner with Governor DeSantis last night, which, look, he's on the forefront of so many of the battles against the woke left and against the mask madness. Oh, we got some Fauci stuff to share with you later on in the show too, folks. He's back. We knew he would be. They found him in the couch cushions over at the MSNBC green room. They dusted him off. Here he is. But I got to tell you, Clay, what we all see here is that there was a huge outrage that actually goes beyond. It wasn't just a manufactured outrage. The idea on the activist left that you cannot indoctrinate children from kindergarten to third grade in the state of Florida as a function of law without having some liability is completely enraging to them, which means that they obviously want to at least have that option or that ability, which raises a lot of questions.
No doubt. And I'm just still focused on the craziness of ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls being offensive. Like, to me, that crystallizes Disney and the radical departure and genuflection at the altar of the woke that this represents. Because what percentage, Buck, of the American population is offended by a greeting that says, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. I don't even understand how someone could be offended by that. Biology is real. Men and women and the distinction between men and women are real. You can't just decide that you don't acknowledge basic biology. I can't just start walking around and saying, you know what, I'm anti-gravity. I think gravity sucks. Okay, gravity's real. I can't just walk around, Buck, and say, hey, you know what? I think it sucks that water freezes at 32 degrees. F water freezing at 32 degrees. I'm anti-ice. Well, this doesn't make any sense to me at all. And then you acknowledge these people? It's like, hey, we're outside walking around. There's a temperature. I refuse to acknowledge temperature exists. Like, I don't understand. The party of science is fundamentally repudiating the most basic essence of life, which is biology.
Well, this is why we have to remind ourselves in all this of two things. First of all, and remember this, the left, everybody, the left chose this fight. The left decided this is a battle that they want to win.
Yes.
They forced this on all the rest of us. This was not, because now what they do is, oh, why are you so obsessed with gender identity and ideology? Excuse me? You're the ones, meaning the leftist activists, and look, this is a Democrat party. You will not see a mainstream Democrat politician condemn biological males and female sports right now. You will not see. I mean, maybe with the exception of Joe Manchin, but he's basically Republican. But you will not see people who
they won't even mention it.
You will not see woke Democrats condemn this in office. I'm not even talking about it in the media. You will not see them speak obvious truths here. And so that's one part of this. They've picked the fight. And the other is look at the power they seek to have. To Clay's point about biology is real, they're repudiating and rejecting observable science. Think of the power that they seek to have over all of us now. Reject what your eyes and ears and experience and history tell you, or else you're a bad person and we will destroy you. You think they're just going to do that on gender identity issues as a function of policy and culture? Absolutely not. If they can force you to say things that you know are untrue on this, they can force you to say things that you know are untrue on whatever topic they want, because this is about brute cultural and, in the case of the Democrat Party, state force in clear defiance of reason and observable fact. That's what they're doing.
It's scary, Buck, how quickly we are destroying the tenets of basic society and replacing them with nothing. And this may seem for some people, oh, this is just to me, this is a metaphor of a rejection of basic fact in science. And this is a major entertainment corporation that has effectively allowed itself to be taken hostage by the woke ideology. There's no other way to describe it.
I think it's run by the woke ideology. Now, I think we've kind of trained, to your point, Clay, just about the Trojan horse, which is absolutely true. It started really 10 or 15 years ago with the infiltration of this D&I and the woke in all of its fashions in the HR departments and the corporate training departments. Now the CEOs and the presidents of content, et cetera, now whether they believe it or not, it's tough to know. Although, I mean, this president at Disney who starts out talking about a pansexual and transsexual. By the way, what are the chances that somebody who has this ideology happens to have a child of any age who also fits into that ideology? And is there some interesting correlation there? Have you ever noticed this? Very woke leftists are overwhelmingly more likely to have, it seem, a child who identifies in this capacity. And I think that's, and again, the pansexual issue has obviously gotten a lot of attention. This is Disney's president saying it. I think we should take this to the audience a little bit. I mean, what do they think is going on here? And I just want to remind everybody, because they're running around yelling that everyone who supports the Florida law, which is how this whole argument got started, is a bigot. 52% of Democrats in the state of Florida support the parental rights and education bill. And a huge majority of, obviously, Republicans and a majority of independents, but more than half of Democrats think that that's just a little crazy, folks, a little too much to get angry about not telling someone's 5-year-old about the 37 genders that exist now on some college applications. I'm fired up about this one.
When we react to this, a lot of us are reacting from the pain we experienced of being isolated and stigmatized in school. But we're also reacting from the reality that when they can erase you, when they can criminalize your existence, when they can demonize who you are, the next step is to criminalize you and take your kids.
To criminalize you and take your kids. That is Equality Florida Executive Director Nadine Smith telling Disney employees in some official video conference that DeSantis, Florida, the parental rights bill is ultimately about criminalizing people from the LGBTQIA plus community and taking away their children. That's madness. It's insane. It is nowhere in the bill. It is completely crazy to suggest that that's what is being intended here. But just to give you a sense of how overheated the rhetoric is from the activist community, that's the kind of stuff that's being said in official corporate training, mind you. Now, this is not just someone with an opinion standing on a street corner. This is somebody who is indoctrinating employees of the Disney Corporation. And as we all see now, Disney is going to find out, I think, doesn't run the state of Florida, actually. Turns out that it's just a company. And you know what? Moving their whole facility going to be pretty expensive. So I think they're going to have to be stuck here.
Disney needs Florida politicians way more than Florida politicians need Disney in terms of a power dynamic. They're not going to relocate Disney World. They're not going to relocate the massive amount of footprint that they have in Orlando. And I don't even know if Disney understands what they have unleashed. Because I feel like there's a ton of parents listening to us right now, Buck, and they are furious over all of this. Because what they want Disney to represent is just a company that they can trust and have their kids consume their content and not have to worry about it. That's I can speak as a parent. That's overwhelmingly what they want Disney to represent. They want Disney to represent the movies that they grew up on, right? If you're older, the Peter Pans and the Snow Whites and that era of films. If you're younger, Little Mermaid, Aladdin, all of those things. Watch those films and tell me that they in any way were making aggressive political comments on anything. They were just trying to entertain kids. And we live in an era now where, and I think Bob Chapek, the CEO of Disney, was trying to be smart and stay out of this. And that's when I say that he's been captured by the Trojan horse inside of his own company. I think his instincts were right. Disney doesn't need to get involved in individual bills that are being passed. Yeah. But what happened was his own job, and this is what I think happens far too often, Buck. Guys and girls who are in positions of authority inside of companies become terrified that they're going to lose their job if they oppose anything. Remember, not taking a stand is what, in my opinion, most companies should do on most issues. Excuse
me, Clay, but I have been informed by very smart blue check libs that silence equals violence.
Yeah, that's right. And that's what they try to argue now. But the reality is, in a 50-50 America, which, by the way, is rapidly slanting more towards the Republican Party because of stories like these, in a 50-50 America, Disney's job should be to appeal to everyone of all political persuasions. And the way you do that, typically, is by not getting caught up in all of the craziness that's going on.
I just point out that this is also... Disney was built on that promise that you're talking about. That promise to every parent and every person. I grew up watching Disney movies. You know, so many of us have such a really fondness and emotional association, nostalgic memories of Disney, a great American company making great products that inspire people, that make them feel good, that tell great stories. That's what we want. They still could do that. What's fascinating is they'll say, sorry, crazy right-wing bigots, but things have changed now. Well, they're going to ruin Disney, you see. It's the people in charge now didn't build the company that they are running. They are woke bureaucrats from inside the corporate system who have risen to the top. They have seized the reins of something that they've seized the levers of power inside an institution. They didn't build, to borrow from Obama, you didn't build that. They didn't build that, right?
You're right.
And so this is what keeps happening in a lot of these companies where you see great storied American companies with a promise to the American people that's been kept up for decades. And now it's being ruined. And the left says, yeah, go build your own. Okay, we're going to have to start building our own, one. And number two, they've destroyed the neutral ground. Companies that take stances like Disney must suffer the consequences. Folks, if you don't start making decisions about this stuff, they will just continue to weaponize corporations that they did not build overwhelmingly, well, in the case of Disney, in order to get policies that you don't want to live with.
For a long time, many people out there have said, I don't want to get involved in this. Well, the left-wingers always get involved. And when they put the pressure on companies to take stands, they're taking stands that are directly contra to what many of you believe. And so saying, hey, we need to be entirely neutral, which is often the default Republican response, doesn't win because the woke universe will not accept neutrality. And so I think Disney needs to feel pain over this decision on a corporate level, on a dollars and cents level. I think that they need to understand that there is at least half the population that they are alienating.